he look like?
White. I just assumed he was in charge.
Why?
Cause he was white.
Did this?
We are live.
We are live.
We are live.
Did I say welcome to the main event?
Run that thing back, bro. You mad?
Oh, man.
Behave before you talk about what I'm talking about, yeah?
Disclaimer.
Run that thing back. Nah, man, stay there in your corner, man. Run that thing back, fam. I don't want to hear nothing from you.
We are live, because I'm saying Mr. Blitz Tech.
Revenue GS.
Joe, 1/3 of the Cyber Nerds.
And it's that time of the week where you get slapped up with another Boondocks review. Today we have episode 12. Spoilers, Riley was here in this episode. Two things happened. Riley gets art lessons from Bob Ross, special feature. And Yui takes on a quite interesting experience with Black TV. So which one you guys want to dive in first?
I'm just going to put the question out there. Does Black TV make people dumb?
Yep.
It's true.
1000%, man. Listen. That's not even the question. That's just, bruv. It's dumb. Bruv, yeah. It's what you consume, innit? If you're consuming dumbness, bruv, that's how you're gonna think. Right. That's how you're gonna act. That's how you're gonna operate. Do you know what I'm saying? Like, bruv.
I think it begs the bigger question, like, is Black TV life imitating art or art imitating life?
Oh,
do you get what I'm saying? That's how I take the thing. Do you get what I'm saying?
Could be both.
Because obviously, Huey don't live that life, but he's watching it and it's getting progressively dumber. Do you know what I'm saying? But that's not a reflection of the life he actually lives. But for bare Black people, that is the life they live. Do you know what I'm saying? And then as they're watching it, is it perpetuating that cycle? Do you get what I'm saying? Which keeps them locked into that mentality.
So it's like they go hand in hand, innit?
But that's what I'm saying, like, it's the chicken and the egg, innit? Like, you know what I'm saying? So, like, or is that someone, because obviously, like, well, maybe some networks are run by Black people, but what if the network's not run by a Black person? Then it's like, is that art imitating life, or is that straight just conditioning? Get me? But then where are they getting that from?
I don't think that's it's run by Blacks. Like that's just.
No, I'm not talking about all TV networks. I'm talking about
BET
specifically. Do you know what I'm saying? Like, I don't know. So
it's owned, but who's behind that? Like, man never really knows. Do you know what I'm saying? Like, there's all these programs that Black people be watching, and it's not run by them. Do you know? Like, if I come to think about, like, soap shows that I've known since I was a kid, where, like, family members, friends be watching, like, whether it's like Brazilians, Portuguese, like even the ones that's run in back home, bruv, it's not by them. It's running through a Portuguese owned company, innit? So I would say no, it's not them. It's run by them and not actual Black person. That's how you keep them, like, in that loop. That's what they talk about. You know, oh, what happened to this episode? Oh, like, that's keeping you in that loop instead of you trying to think of something else that's actually have some proper meaning. Do you know what I'm saying? Like, you watching these soaps and then shows, and then that's the gossip you're into that gossip life, innit? You're into that lane. So to me, yeah, it does keep you dumb, bruv.
And that's why it goes back to the point of, is it like, what have we been watching recently? Is it HBO? Like, HBO trailers, it seems like, I don't know who's at the top, but those shows, the ones that cater to, like, Black people, they seem a bit more, like, how can I,
like
intelligent, like,
sophisticated.
A bit more, yeah. Than the average other Black shows, to be honest. I'm like, who's at the top of that? Who's there? Because even this is coming back to HBO, and this is obviously a very thought-provoking, show. So it's like,
yeah, I mean, I guess so. I mean, you always gotta let someone in. in that aspect. Do you know what I mean? Like you get one show, but then that show is just gonna reach out to certain people because of what your mind can take, what your mind's been conditioned to. So
that's why I like HBO, because for me it basically stands out. Like it basically means help a brother out in it.
You know what? Yeah, like you know the whole thing with HBO. Yeah, that is what you're talking about. I remember watching The Wire for the first time, and I was like, and this is why I loved The Wire back then, because that's when I was doing art and all of that stuff. I was very like really into like stuff that's real instead of like stuff that someone's trying to give it to you. And I'm watching The Wire and I'm just like, raw. This thing is mad. I don't think I've seen anything like this in this at this level. Besides, I think the only thing I'd kind of seen it like that was like City of God, the movie. Yeah. But even that's not run by black people. Do you know what I'm saying? So it's the majority of the cast is African Brazilian, but it's not run by them. Do you know what I'm saying? It wasn't scripted by them. So there's levels to this, man, and I guess we're just kind of like catching up to it when it comes to entertainment and stuff.
That's very interesting. Very, very interesting. But
I mean, it goes all the way around, even just outside of the black thing, because obviously it's like bare times we'll watch stuff and we'll be like, raw. Like, why are they not giving the viewer more credit for intelligence when watching the show? Do you know what I'm saying? And this is obviously why directors like Nolan and them, man, get more crops for taking things into deeper concepts and stuff like that. But maybe, bruv, I don't know. It's actually mad. But I actually do. I'm gonna look up the whole not the HBO thing, the Black Entertainment Television thing, because I think that's interesting. Like who actually run it, or who's been running the thing from the beginning? Because I think there was another episode of this when they was talking about it, and he said it was owned by a brother. Do you get what I'm saying? But I want to know. I mean, it probably is accurate then, but is that still accurate now? And what goes on? Because you know, in some of these circumstances, once it gets to a certain level, it's easier to get picked off and be like, oh, we'll acquire this. Do you know what I'm saying? And then you're getting emails and mandates on what shows should be coming out and shouldn't be. So it's mad.
Another topic is Riley picks up on art. And one thing about that was interesting to me is Granddad in a way supports him for doing art. Like he just sends him someone to do art because he's been out here graffitiing, and obviously graffiti is something that is notoriously known to be illegal art in it. Obviously, if you're spray painting in someone's wall, someone's property, that's illegal unless you have consent. But then he doesn't get the full approval, the full support. Do you know what I mean? Like, I think there's a line that's like, yo, like, he just doesn't believe that he's that creative. And that goes back to one of the issues that I've had for so many years, where it was like, black people not supporting the youth when it comes to art. They just don't think it's something to be taken serious.
It's not just, it's past art though. I think it's just anything.
That's not education.
Yeah. Like anything that, like obviously from a black household, like they've always said, go to school, then go to university, get your degree, become a doctor, lawyer, anything of like a higher profession, like despite the money or whatever, and then you said that then you're set for life. But sometimes that's not actually the case, because we've seen obviously black people go into stardom with obviously athletics, art, creative stuff. But since unless you do get to that level, obviously it is quite rare, but if you do get to the level of like money and fame and stuff, then they'll be like, oh, then they'll congratulate you. Until you get there, they're like, don't even do that. But with the educational thing, at least they said you've been educated, you're now in this profession, no one can talk to you, which is not actually the case, because sometimes you still struggle trying to get to that top, which is also as high as getting to the top of the creative side.
Yeah, so but I think that comes down to the messaging that our parents was receiving when they were younger people, and obviously at their age, wherever they was at, you get me, like there's like, oh look, success is just having a regular job in a westernized country. Do you get what I'm saying? So obviously they come over with that and they preach that, but that narrative, by the time us man are reaching maturity in an age, we're seeing that raw, like, bro, but you can have a master's degree and you still work at McDonald's and no one's actually respecting that. So then it's like, you're trying to be respectful of what your parents wanted, but at the same time, you have to like foster your own interests, your own intrigues and the stuff that are into you, and also try and nurture what could potentially be some sort of stardom that you have inside anyway. Do you get what I'm saying? And it's like, I think that just comes down to parenting, because I feel like there's bare parents, like, I feel like my parents were kind of split on it, like, education was always an important thing, but I felt like they always pushed man on the basketball thing, like, yeah, look, do this as much as you want, do it as much as you want, get me. Then even with the cyber nerds, it was still like, oh, this is what you're doing, like, because they understood that I've taken a basketball to a level, I felt like they were just approving of that going forward. But then there are definitely some parents that are like, nah, don't do that at all. This is a waste of time. You're wasting your energy, because they just don't have that vision. Do you get what I'm saying?
My thing when it comes to art, any type of art, is that where did we lose our identity with art? Because they'll look at art and it's like, it's a waste of time, you can't make a living off it, this and that. But art is just as important as music, as food, like, in our culture.
Rocky said it, bro.
And at some point that someone said, I don't know what happened in history, but it was like, that doesn't count.
Right.
Do you know what I mean? And that's so sick in so many levels, because you have now lost a part of who you are. You no longer identify yourself with something that's like part of your roots, bruv. That is so dangerous. And this is why, like, people be out here doing the madness, like, because they don't even know who they are. Do you know what I'm saying? But I'll go and study and be miserable for the rest of my life, because I'm not doing something that's my calling. You know what I'm saying? I'm not doing something that feeds who I am, feeds my soul. Do you know what I'm saying? Like, my spirit, like, all of that. And it's mad to me, because as a teacher, so I taught art, and it was like, and I would have like, so in school, so over here, for those in the US, when you get to year 9, you have to pick your options that you'll go, it's like a pathway that you want to go deeper into your education. So I had like loads of, in this specific example, I had this girl sick. She was sick at art in year 9. And I'm like, yo, what are you trying to do with this? Because you're really sick with it. And she was like, oh, I'm going to do this and that. And I was like, right, you're not picking art as one of your options. She was like, no, my parents don't believe in this. That is crazy. Now, you don't necessarily have to take art to a professional level. But one thing that people don't know is that art is so important for development of one person. Do you know what I mean? And what's even deeper is that we live in a society where art is more influential than anything in, like, that's ever been in human history. If you look at fashion, mobile phone designs, tech design, all of that comes from art. Everything that you are into these days comes from a concept of art. Do you know what I'm saying? Like, your eyes will eat, like, oh, if you see an iPhone, oh, the design is sick. That's what you're not buying the tech first. You're not buying what the functions of it. You're buying how it looks. Do you know what I'm saying? Like, designs and all of that stuff. But parents would be like, no, don't follow that. Bruv, that's tapped. Do you know what I'm saying? That's tapped, because that person can end up being the head designer of Nike, Apple, all of that. But because you've been told, oh, nah, this is not it. Go be a doctor. Go be an engineer. Tapped. Like, and that was one of the struggles I had as a teacher, innit? Like, it just didn't make... It pissed me off, really, like, if you think about it. Because, like, kids are stopping from doing something they're great at to become something they're not.
Because, for me, like, even at highest. Sometimes I feel like it's on my highest scale. Like I said, from the 1%, and it trickles down. Even though you might not know to take art, it will help you with designing, architecture, and all that kind of stuff.
Bruv, critical thinking,
Like,
so important.
How many is it like? Yeah, Uncle Rocker said in his episode, how many black artists do you actually know? Like you can name musicians,
Right.
you can name all the other kind of artistry out there.
Yeah.
But when it actually comes to black artists, it's
Because
actually quite minimal.
because it got stopped.
That's
That
what's mad.
Yeah, it gets blocked.
And then then black people won't take that because even if they're not trying to go for the museums and stuff, then they won't even go for the stuff that you see in the offices, which is architecture, design, all that kind of
Bruv, like,
I
it's-
find mad as well, but
It's
it is what it
the
is.
levels of it is so deep here. Because if you think about like architecture, bro, architecture, it weren't here
Mm,
that it started.
mm.
No, like it's bruv, yeah. I don't want to go too deep into it because I'll stay here forever. But like, it connects everything, bruv. It connects from physical mechanics to critical thinking, like problem solving, like, and you just stop that. That stuff that is actual. Think about like stuff that influences the world.
Mm.
It derives from that creative side.
If you don't have an understanding of that, bruv, you can't tell your kids to do. Do you know what I'm saying? Like, and these parents don't have that, bruv. Do you know what I'm saying? It's like it's different because maybe because we was raised here, like, and have an understanding of it, we'd be more open-minded to the options, and also not just that, because there'll be people our age who are still pushing the same narrative as our parents because they followed the narrative. But we might be like, all right, look, do education, but we're also gonna foster some creative things that you want to do. But the biggest thing, the biggest decision that people like us will probably make is it's your choice.
Mm.
Do you know what I'm saying? Like, it being your choice is bigger than everything, bro. Because I felt like when we was young, like my dad was really into a man with like doing music. Do you know what I'm saying? Because obviously, man's got 3 brothers, there's 4 of us. My dad grew up on a Jackson 5. It was like, oh, like, this is a thing. It makes sense because that's what he's seen and that's what he'd seen. So he was fostering some sort of art, but I felt like at the age for me, just because he was pushing man onto it bears, I was just resistant to it anyway. Do you get what I'm saying? And it's like, rah, maybe if he was just like, oh, what do you want to do? And you know what I'm saying? I felt like that was big into the basketball thing, where it's like, man got into basketball and then I felt like it was the reverse because we went through the music thing. It was like, oh no, this might be it. Let me support this. Do you know what I'm saying? So I feel like it's like just having that open mind is the biggest part of it, bro. Being open to that knowledge and learning, innit?
Yeah. Notice how on this episode, this is the first episode where Riley is the least like troublesome. Like there's an underline of like therapy that Riley goes through in this episode that, you know, it changes his behavior and the way of thinking. Like before, he was like, I don't want to be in this class. As soon as he gets challenged when it comes to drawing, he patterns up. Now he shows interest in doing something and take it to another level. Like obviously he's right. He's not going to do it like, you know, the right way. Obviously he's always going to do it on the next level where it gets him to trouble. But in this episode, he's focused.
No, and that's tough, but that comes with a level of guidance. And then this is where, even though like grandpa's over here whooping, man, you got to rate grandpa because grandpa fostered the thing and said, look, here's someone who can actually teach you what you're supposed to do, bruv. Like, there's bare parents who just will be like, no, I know everything, boom, it's finished, as opposed to, listen, this guy is an artist, go spend one evening with man and see what comes of it. You get me? And then even if Riley's like, this is dead later, get me? Man tried. Get me? I think for me, one of the big things in this episode, which is mad now, is like Riley feeling like he needs the credit for the art, as opposed to, and then when the teacher's like, listen, you can sell your art, but your art will always be the most valuable thing you ever done, bruv. Like, that's a concept that I feel like bare man don't understand. You know what I'm saying? That like,
they ain't got education on it. They ain't got the background on it.
I hear that, bruv, but it's like, I've never been an artist, but understand what we do Do you know what I'm saying? That
You're
what
creative.
the effect we give people or how people feel from engaging in this content is more valuable than what man can pay you for. Do you know what I'm saying? Because that could change someone's life. Like people, you know what I'm saying? When man get those messages, that's why I get those messages like, oh, you man brought me out of this. You man, I feel like you man are my brothers. Bruv, that's deeper than, bruv, someone across the world is saying that they was in a dark place and spending time with the three of us brought them out of it, bruv. Bruv, money can't buy that, fam. Do you know what I'm saying? So it's a deep thing, bruv. And now obviously we live in a culture where it's like everyone's got to get credit for everything, bruv. Do you know what I'm saying? It's mad, bruv.
I mean, when you're coming out of something that's not popular and it's not something that you get credited for. And I think that's something actually about black people where it's like they like as individuals will want the credit first instead of credit as a group.
Mm-hmm.
Like, I think that's actually something that we need to do, because the way I see it is like black people's like me first. Do you know what I mean? Like if there's like three of us, usually it's like, oh, it's me first before the collective group. Do you know what I mean? And I feel this is where we're different, because it's like, no, like if even when we go, we don't agree with each other, because we all see, sometimes we see things different when it comes to like making a decision. But then there has never been one point where it's like, oh no, man, like dead this, I'm going home because we're not coming, because I want to do me. Do you know what I mean? Like, and a lot of the times that's the case. It's me first before the collectives, and that's one of the issues that we have with our in our culture, innit? Yeah. So, but guys, look, jump in the comment section below and let us know your thoughts on this episode. I've been reading your comments. Some really, really, really good stuff you guys been dropping. So keep pumping it. And obviously, if you know someone that's out there that's missing this content, by all means, share on your socials, share it, communication platforms, and let people know that, you know, banter, nice topics, you know what I'm saying, stuff that's not really been spoken about out there, that, you know, they can pick up a gem here or there. But other than that, we'll be seeing you guys next week for another Boondocks review. I'm Raven, your GS.
So I missed the Blitz Tech.
Joe on Further the Cyber Nerds.
Peace.